and prayer.
and prayer. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, you state in your word, let everyone be subject to governing authorities, for there is no authority except for that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. God, we thank you for allowing us to gather tonight in front of all these people. Pray that you protect this new officer as he becomes part of our city, part of our family. We pray these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Grazia. Ms. Simons. Here. Mr. Ziegler.
Here.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Here.
Mr. Hamer.
Here.
Mr. Schultz.
Here.
Mr. Smolik.
Here. I'd like to suspend the rules of council to swear in our new officer.
So
Need a
moved.
motion.
Yeah, motion to suspend. Second. Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor.
All in favor? Say
Aye.
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 Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the city of Kirtland. I'm Lieutenant Jamie Fisher, and on behalf of Chief McAllister and I, we're really happy tonight to be adding another officer to our ranks. So I'm going to ask Scott if he would come on up so I can introduce you to everybody. Most of these folks are probably friends and family, but I want to introduce you to our elected officials and the residents and officers that are here. This is a special moment for some of us. Scott, his older brothers, Sergeant Valenti and I ran the streets as kids together. And we'll just leave it at that. But we had fun. It was a great place to live. We grew up in Surfside in the Heights of Eastlake. Officer Dobbermeyer grew up in Eastlake, Ohio. And I'm going to leave out the year you graduated from South High. Sergeant Valenti and I and Chief Tony Hutton was a North High graduate, so we were rivals. Officer Dobbermeyer began to follow his passion, become a police officer, and attended Lakeland Community College and obtained his associates in criminal justice in the year 2000. Officer Dobbermeyer graduated from Cleveland Heights Police Academy in 2002. And he began his career with the Mentor on the Lake Police Department in 2002 and rose to the rank of sergeant and has faithfully served that community for the last 23 years. Officer Dobbermeyer continued his education and obtained his bachelor's degree in criminal justice at Kaplan University, finished that in 2008. And the irony here is Officer Dobbermeyer worked for us as a part-time officer in 2016. Officer Dobbermeyer has 3 grown children and 1 grandchild. And another note is Officer Dobbermeyer's oldest brother, Rob, is the police chief of Willowick Police Department. So law enforcement runs in the family. Officer Dobbermeyer brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the Kirtland Police Department. And we are truly looking forward to having you a member of our team. So with that, I'll turn it over to the mayor for the oath of office. I got it? Yep.
Up in front of the flags. Here, why don't you guys go over there? How's that for the, okay? Well, as Lieutenant Fisher said, we're incredibly honored and privileged to have you come aboard here in Kirtland. So with nothing else, let's get going with the oath of office. I, Scott Dobbermeyer,
I, Scott Dobbermeyer,
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
Charter, the Charter,
the ordinances and resolutions
the ordinance and resolutions
of the City of Kirtland,
of the City of Kirtland,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as a police officer
as a police
to
officer
the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
You're not running out quite as fast as they usually do. Wrong side here.
You need to move the podium back to the right.
Yeah, you want me to do it?
Yes, sir.
Till I knock it over and then I blame someone else. Is that good?
Cameras aren't working.
Okay, moving back into the council meeting for this evening. Start off the readings and approval of the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 Finance Committee meeting. Looking for a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Smolik with a motion to approve, Ms. Simons with the second. Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Abstain.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 council meeting. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Simon with a motion, Mr. Smolik with the second. Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons,
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler,
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker,
Yes.
Mr. Hamer,
Yes.
Mr. Scholes,
Yes.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to department reports.
Chief Hutton couldn't make it tonight. He had a last-minute family emergency. Captain Killeen, I don't have a formal report, but open for any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the captain this evening? Thank you for stepping in for Chief Hutton. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Council President. We have a few things on the agenda. The first, probably the most important, is the resolution you guys all had attached to your packets. The Chief and I are respectfully requesting that we waive the 3 readings and declare emergency so that we can move forward with the purchase of that vehicle. If you have any questions about that, we can circle back. Secondly, the Kirtland Police Department is well aware of the increased flow in traffic on our cut-through streets due to the bridge being out on Route 6. In order to kind of promote safety in those areas, we will be doing some target traffic enforcement initiatives, not just to slow people down, so we're aware. If there are specific complaints, please call them into the police department, and we can move some of those into those areas as well. With the theme of the weather changing, we will see an increase of UTV, ATVs, and golf carts that some people do use and operate them on the streets. They need to be street legal. We do provide the inspection service. So if that's something that you have and want to operate on the roadway, which is legal in 35 mile and under speed limit zones, contact Officer Gibson. His email would be jgibson@kirtlandpolice.com, and he will set up an appointment with you and come and provide you the inspection certificate so that you can get that properly licensed. And lastly, and probably most exciting for me and the officers, is our remodel project of the patrolman's room is probably at 75% finished. Hopefully, if the cabinets come in and we get them installed by next council meeting, I would highly recommend and welcome you guys all to take a walk through the vision that the chief put out, and with hard work from a lot of the officers and some members of the community, the vision is coming to light, and we cannot be happier to have our room where we spend an incredible amount of time doing work look the way it does. So with that, I'm open to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Lieutenant Fisher, with respect to the work you just mentioned, Officer Gibson does he have a written checklist that perhaps he can share with council?
So the state of Ohio through the BMV does have the form. You can download it online. We do have the forms. We can bring it with you. So if you want the inspection, we'll bring the form that you need to go to the BMV and provide them that it was done. It's really us checking some boxes, and a law enforcement signature is needed.
Oh, so it's a state of Ohio form, not a Kirtland form?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you.
With the bridge being out on 6, which is a heavily traveled road, are we able to not put the bridge sign right in the middle of the street and maybe off to the side? Because it does kind of create some just obstructions and like some dangerous passing. Like today, when I was driving on 6 towards my house on Worrell, I mean, it's literally right on Route 6 saying bridge out in 1.8 miles. It was right in the middle of the road. I don't know if that's mandatory to keep it there or what.
I would defer the placement of the signs in the roadway to,
Okay, so like
to Joe.
to Joe.
And,
Okay,
and see. I would agree with you. If they were prior to where the bridge is out in the lane of travel would make no sense to me. And yes, going around, make them left
1.8
of center.
miles. I was like, that's far. I'll talk to Joe.
I'm not sure why the placement is there. I would defer that to Joe.
Lieutenant Fisher, now that it is closed, have you already seen an increase in issues or problems with the traffic?
Yes, Hobart Road, we've received numerous complaints already about increased traffic and speed. We have already started that initiative in that area. We talked to Wade Hill last night while I was on patrol, and they are also noticing an increase on Eagle Road. That intersection at Hobart and Eagle has been a little bit more problematic. So we expect that to increase. I would think Markel, Eagle Road, Hobart is where the increases are going to be, and those are where we're going to target. And if we receive additional complaints, we'll move.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant Fisher.
Sorry. Also, per the traffic, I noticed Willoughby Hills, I understand the one bridge is like that single lane bridge over there. They always close that down. But they put the open to, what's that road called? Pleasant Hill? Pleasant Valley.
Pleasant Valley.
I mean, they make it seem like it's local traffic only, even though that is an access way to get to Dot another way together as opposed to Hobart. Is Willoughby Hills enforcing that, and can they enforce that if you use that for a cut through if you aren't local traffic? I mean, what's local traffic? Going to work in Willoughby? You know, it's like they're trying to keep people from going over there, so obviously we're going to see more traffic, you know, through Hobart Eagle.
I do not know how far past that road goes down to Dodd, and if it is truly closed, I do not know. I haven't gone
Oh, yeah,
down
it's
there.
just closed at the bridge. Dodd's actually open, because I've driven them a couple times. I'm just curious if you know, it's kind of like they're trying to keep the traffic from going through that way, so to speak. So, and per the ATV licensing that you talked about, ATVs, obviously, you're not allowed on 6 and 306, but you're allowed on secondary roads, right? If you're tagged properly?
35 and under is
Gotcha,
the speed
okay.
limit, so yes, it cannot go on Route 6. There are other requirements of properly licensed 16 and older with a valid license. So we have had some issues with underage kids operating those type of vehicles, and it's a case-by-case basis where we educate before we're taking that enforcement action. But it is definitely a safety issue, and a licensed driver needs to be operating those vehicles on roadways.
Thanks, Lieutenant.
Any
Council
other
President?
Questions for Lieutenant?
Just quickly, either our Public Works Director is telepathic or he's watching our meeting from an unknown, undisclosed location. But he did say he's already called ODOT
Oh,
related to your,
to the sign
your
location?
concern. So
All right.
that call is already in.
That's very good.
Wherever
All
you
right.
are, Joe.
Thanks. Any further questions for the Lieutenant this evening?
Can he project his report at you now? Because he gets to go next. So. Can he project his report for council? Because he is supposed to go next. So if he can
I have a couple of
channel you.
I have a couple of items for
Oh,
that.
perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
Yoda.
Lieutenant Fisher, also thank you for sitting in for the chief this evening. All right, Mr. Courtney.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We'll start off, as usual, with 2025 streets. The final street selection and initial pavement evaluations are complete. We are working on the pavement testing scope. We'll be sending out RFPs for the pavement testing shortly. Final determinations on the pavement rehabilitation methods will be determined based on those testing results. Kirtland Chardon Road paving, aerial and field surveys are underway. The aerial's done. We're getting the field portion of that done. And we'll be starting base mapping on that shortly. They are out 306 sewers. Same with the survey. The aerial is done, and the field survey work is underway. And we continue to discuss various potential funding sources for that work with the administration and some other folks. Wisner Wall, we're going to be preparing a request to submit the engineering costs to Lake County Stormwater for pre-funding. And finally, the review of the street standards. We reviewed those at the work session at the last meeting. If there are any additional questions on that, I'm happy to answer them.
Mr. Courtney, if you can give me a week, I'll be in touch with you regarding your comments and edits on 1248. Apologize, I was ill and still trying to catch up, but I'd like to talk to you about some of those. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions for Mr. Courtney this evening? Okay, moving on to Mr. Slapnicker.
Thank you, Council President Fenstermaker. The March 2025 end-of-month reports have been distributed to council and posted on our website. We have the Public Utilities Commission meeting scheduled for this Saturday at City Hall, 12:30 p.m. The letters went out to those residents potentially affected early last week. This past Tuesday, we did go out to market for the $4.5 million in notes. Just to give you a couple, some data on that. We actually left that market with a 3.1% yield, 5% coupon. The difference between the two things generated around a $70,000 premium. So overall, the interest cost for next year will be $225,000 on that. When you take the premium and reduce that, the overall effect would be $154,741. Again, I'll send out an email to council just with all this information so you don't have to rapidly type. That's all I have to report, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Slapnicker?
Louis, I could ask if you could quarterly give council an update on the folks in the past. You know, we've looked at, hey, do you live in Kirtland? and work in Kirtland? Do you live in Kirtland, work outside of Kirtland, or do you live here and work here? And with the governor's mandate that all state employees go back to work, I'm wondering how else that will trickle down through the economy of the workers in the city of Kirtland. So if we could keep our eye on those numbers, you know.
Yeah, we're constantly keeping an eye on the income tax here. And, you know, the mayor and I have actually met a couple of times on that. We've seen a slight downtrend currently as compared to last year, almost leveling out more towards the 2023 numbers. So we're keeping a very close eye on it. We're going to be really looking hard at the May 1st distribution with the tax filing deadline of April 15th. So we are taking a hard look at that. And once we have some information, definitely report that out to council.
Yeah, I was just looking if you could just do it quarterly automatically, then kind of help set a trend to we could expect.
Yeah, we can look
If
at
you're already
something
seeing it, but you know what I mean, get the numbers to back it up.
like that. Okay. We can take a look at something like that.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions for Mr. Slavin? Okay, moving on to the mayor.
Thank you, Council President. Quick question. Would you like me to talk about or introduce the commissioners during this portion, or do you want to wait till
You can
matters not
certainly
on the agenda?
introduce them now, and then we can circle back on the public.
Okay,
comments.
well then I'll just hold tight for that.
Okay.
So just very quickly, because we do have our 3 Lake County Commissioners here this evening, Commissioner Plechnik, Commissioner Beveridge, and Commissioner Ragovich are here, along with the illustrious Mr. Jason Boyd here, who I think everybody knows that Jason is one of the harder workers in the county, and when stuff happens in the county, Jason's a integral, if not a catalyst piece of that. So thanks for being here, gentlemen, and I know you've got a lot to talk about here in a few minutes. Just real quickly, we got a Public Utilities Commission meeting. We talked about that. That's at noon, I think, on Saturday, correct?
12:30.
Related to the 3 package plants. Zoning, springtime, you start to see a lot more activity, people putting stuff out in yards and trailers and vehicles and all of those things that come with it. If you see something or you get a complaint or concern from a resident, please forward those on to myself and copy, obviously, Janelle and Lenny Morgano on those, and we'll get right out and take care of those those requests. Other than that, I'm just open for questions, and then we can get on with the meeting.
Okay, any questions for the mayor this evening? Okay, before we proceed, Julia, do you have any updates on the service community center, senior center?
Joe's.
I have no formal report for the senior center. As far as city events, I just want to reiterate that this Saturday at 10 o'clock is the city Easter egg hunt here at City Hall out front. The Easter Bunny will arrive at 10 o'clock, escorted by the fire department. And then the Easter egg hunt starts at 10:30. There will be activities inside City Hall as well as at the library. And for any veterans or seniors within the community that need assistance cleaning their yard up, we do have the Mayor's Action Network. Sign up is calling the community center. I'll put you on the list, and we will be out next Saturday. That's April 19th, all morning working on that. That is all I have.
Okay, any questions for Julia this evening?
Council President, just quickly, I did forget that Mr. Finaro did want to remind residents of Ward 3 that this week, or today actually, started the brush pickup. And then also he did mention that through all of that rain we got over the course of, what was that, late last week and the weekend, we pretty much made it through things pretty well unscathed. So
Awesome. Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, Julia, thank you. Okay, moving on to standing committee reports. We've already discussed it. We have the Public Utilities Commission meeting this Saturday. Are there any other updates on reports? Standing committee wise? Okay. I'm not aware of any correspondence. Okay. Okay, moving on to public comments on matters not on the agenda.
Over to the
This is on. Okay, we're good. Can you hear me? Good evening. My name is Morris Beavers III, 4025 Green Street, Perry, Ohio. I don't know the rules. Hopefully I haven't broke any yet. Thank you for complimenting Jason. That works out well. I don't have to say anything about him tonight. Yes, I live in Perry, but I have my 2 bodyguards with me tonight. Commissioner Plechnik and Commissioner Regovich. They are West Siders, and they will vouch for me to come across the city of Mentor and visit you fine folks over here in Kirtland. Just wanted to come and give an update. I have the pleasure of being one of your Lake County commissioners, and one of the first projects and issues that I was made aware of, probably the most common email or request I get from residents of the county with help, is the Old Town Sewer Project here in Kirtland. I am certain everybody in the room knows more about this project than I do at this point. But what I did want to come is give an update, but also ask a favor as well, as we spoke. Just a little bit of a backstory. When I started learning more about the project, this has been going on, my notes say, since at least 2017 or 2018. And this was a project that was essentially mandated by the state of Ohio, and their EPA came in and said, y'all need to do this, figure out how to pay for it later. And as a simple financial advisor, I started digging into some of the numbers and having conversations with folks, and realized the financial burden that this was going to be placing. From the way I was looking at it, there was 3 different costs. One is the cost to, they call it the laterals or something like that, where you tie in, that's the resident's responsibility to go out, hire their own contractor. One cost is the capacity fee or the tap-in fee, I'm told. That's to build the infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other is the assessment, which is the cost of actually putting the sewer into the neighborhoods, and everything that goes into that. This project, obviously, as I said, started in 2017, 2018. Clearly, we are no longer in the financial world we were then. Interest rates have changed, costs have changed. And so I think some of the early estimates that were conveyed, at least in my humble opinion, became out of date and overwhelming in some regards. I asked our county auditor to take a look at the area, the neighborhood, of the houses that were going to be affected. As I understand, it's 132, I believe, is the number I'm told. Take a look at the average price of the house in that area, and it came out to be around $200,000, give or take, or so. And I just felt that when you start talking about numbers of $30,000 and $40,000 assessment on a house that might be worth $200,000 or $150,000, that the math just didn't kind of work. I've had the conversation, the folks who had a bad septic system, I'm not really here to defend them. And there's a lot of folks that I'm sure may be able to pay for this. But one of the primary concerns that we started working on was the fact that you probably have some senior citizens living over there that might be in a $150,000, $175,000 home, retired, house is paid for, and the thoughts of having a $20,000 or $30,000 assessment that they can't afford, that then has to go out and be bonded. In today's interest rates, if you go out for 20 years and those interest rates, you're looking at an extra cost of 50%. So if we go out at $20,000 for bonded for 20 years, you're going to look at around a $30,000 cost spread out over 20 years. Is a significant amount of money. And my guess is, as we all are aware with the rising property values and everything else, our expenses are going up, and an extra $100 or $200 just in property taxes is an economic impact alone, let alone if you got a $20,000, $30,000 albatross on your neck, it's going to be difficult to sell that home. And so we talk a lot about our seniors, and we talk a lot about affordable housing in this county, which is an issue. And so it just didn't make sense that the numbers to me. So I started, and I do need to thank Jason and all the hard work that him and Randy Roethlisberger and our utilities department have done on the project. As I started asking questions, this project has probably had more taxpayer assistance put towards it than anybody else remembers in quite some time, and that's okay. The commissioners before I was here provided $1 million grant from ARPA The city has been great in acquiring 2 different grants, $250,000 of one, $820,000 on another. The original assessment would have been $28,000 had those grants and that money not been applied. After that, we were still looking at around a $19,000 assessment that was going to be on each of the houses, each of the residents, in addition to the tap and feed, in addition to the laterals, the responsibility for the tie-in. And so there are programs available, and I think we just sent out another round of letters, I think a couple weeks ago. We had some block grant funding, about $250,000 through our block grant department for those residents that qualify. I believe up to like $10,000 they can come and apply to help cover the cost for the laterals into the house. The tap-in fee, the $5,600 fee, that has a program through the health department that has a forgivable loan that for those on lower incomes can qualify for and get that forgiven as well. And so I asked what it would take for us to get the assessment down to $5,000 per resident. And was told we needed to raise about another $1.1 million. So that's when I called you guys and said, hey, listen, if you'd be willing to chip in $100,000, I could find that I can do my best. The commissioners, Jason, a lot of great folks of the county trying to do their best, asking all the way up and down to make sure we can find the other $1 million. And so we're fairly confident that within the next couple of weeks, we'll finalize that funding and hopefully be able to come back in. Nothing is official. But, we'd love the opportunity to come back or so in a month after we finalize those numbers. If you guys would be kind enough to be able to help us with the $100,000, then our hope is to be able to come back and have more concrete numbers. But our goal and our expectation is to get that assessment to the residents down to $5,000 so that in theory, somebody who qualified for the block grant funding, somebody who qualified for the health department funding would only be out of pocket about $5,000 for the total cost of the project then. So all those combined coming in at around $20,000. Our goal was to try and keep the cost of the project to about 10% of the average household that's going to be affected. So I get a lot of calls, a lot of emails, and unfortunately I wasn't able to give any updates, but I wanted to come in and try and at least give an update. And I do need to thank my partners for being here with, and they're more than happy to have any questions too. But up and down the county, we wanted to make sure that we put forth an effort to make sure that we could try and bring this down to that 10% ballpark. And I promise the next time that the state of Ohio decides to come into Lake County and mandate an EPA project, I'm going to ask that they make sure that they bring the funding that the residents aren't impacted more than 10% of their property values. So any questions or?
Well, number one, I want to thank you. It means a lot to the residents, and coming here tonight and proposing how much you guys have been working on this is greatly appreciated. So I just want to start off with saying thank you for that effort.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to direct my next question that direction, which is regarding the 100,000.
Yes.
From the mayor and from Lewis's standpoint, how do we feel about that?
The answer is an emphatic yes.
Absolutely. I just wanted to hear it. Good. Okay.
We will make that work. I don't think we can pass up the opportunity to help the residents, but more so. And then go ahead and finish, Council President Fenstermaker, and I'll have a couple of remarks myself.
Well, that was my main focus, was just to make sure that we can squeeze that 100K out on this end too, also to support the project. So you figure timing in a couple weeks, you may be back in front of council?
Yeah, we'll probably come back out in May, if that's okay. If you want to
Update you with their meeting. They should be.
Yeah, we can.
But I'll update with you.
Yeah, figure out one of the meetings, come out early, just have a session ahead of time if you want, just to kind of give the numbers and thank some folks. Some of the funding's coming from our Lake County Clerk of Court, some of the other funding's coming from some of the ARPA projects. So we're still hope to have some other levels of government chip in. So we want to make sure that they get credit as well. But yeah, sometime in May. I think, Jason, when do letters go out in June? Yeah, letters will go out in mid-June to let the residents know, here's their final bill and the due dates and all that stuff. So
So just to clarify and be crystal clear, the the impact will be for all the residents that are affected, not just the residents that qualify for additional
Correct.
assistance.
Correct. That's why I wanted to move this one. These dollars we're applying to the overall assessment that everybody gets assessed. That's the number that I think is most important to bring down as low as possible. The other numbers, the other fees had other programs available to them that could help those that needed the help the most to qualify for those, so that in theory, for some, the cost will only be $5,000 because of the other programs. But for all, in general, it should be at a $20,000 or lower figure. So.
And then those letters that are going out will include information for all the residents on how they make sure that they're signed up and are able to take advantage of that benefit.
Yeah, Jason, you want to come and give a little bit of the timeline afterwards?
Yeah, thank you for having us. Jason Boyd, Lake County Administrator. Yes, we sent out, when Commissioner Beveridge took office and his colleagues, probably about a month ago, a letter to the folks in the Old Town Sewer with a friendly reminder of the Lake County General Health District program, which they have $150,000 and 75 of it is directly geared toward a project such as this. And then we have another program through our planning community development department on the actual physical construction from right away to house, edge of house, not internal plumbing. So we just wanted to make sure that that was in the folks' hands. We attended a couple of public hearings throughout the years. I think even during COVID, maybe there may have been a virtual meeting. So those exist. And I have just a report from a few weeks ago. We've had a handful of folks issued contracts in our CDBG world, and I know the health district has been receiving calls as well as a result of that mailing. But to answer your question, Councilwoman, yes, in June, mid-June is our kind of internal working timeline. We have a letter that Randy Roethlisberger and his team that'll explain the final assessment amount and the means and methods of by which the residents, what they have to do to take advantage of everything. So we are well on our way, and tonight was an important check mark for us. And as Commissioner Beveridge said, once we kind of get our internal workings all solidified, we'll be back at your leisure and at your invite to move this football down the field. So thank you.
So this is a grant, not a loan? What are you calling this? Is this a grant or a loan, or what are you calling this?
So for the residents that take advantage of the money for the laterals, that's a grant. The money's coming from block grant, HUD department. The health department for the tap-in 5,600, that is a forgivable loan. My assumption is he's got to live in the house for a period of time.
It's a 5-year forgive. I don't represent Health District, but we're community partners. It's a 5-year forgivable loan. They'll put a 5-year lien in the balance. Every 20% every year will go off, and then it'll be wiped away. But the $1 million is a grant. That will reduce the amount we're financing. So for the assessment.
Do we know why this tie-in fee was so crazy, $5,600, when other cities, other projects was much less? Why did it cost?
As I understand, and as Randy Roethlisberger, our utilities director, has explained, tie-in fees can range from $1,000 to $15,000. It just depends on how much the infrastructure is to build to get the water to where it needs to get to. As I understand, this area is being in the southern part of the county, and I think this water goes obviously someplace. I think does this go to Menor? Yeah, I think it goes up to Menor. So because of the distance and the topography, it obviously took a lot to build, and some cities choose to augment the tap-in fee and make that less and raise their rates. We're not a big fan of raising rates across the county. And so, because, quite honestly, because there is the health department availability for those who are most vulnerable and need the assistance, we felt it makes more sense to apply any taxpayer assistance to the assessment. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be about $10,600, whether it's $1,000 for a tap-in fee and $9,600 for an assessment, or $5,000 and $5,600. But yeah, that's how I always explain. I understand other projects have been less, and depending on the existing infrastructure, depending on how far they have to go, et cetera, et cetera. But the topography and the distance that this had to go from here to Menor is what kind of assisted in that price getting up there.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Beveridge, for coming out and sharing
Absolutely.
your great work and for your care for the Citizens Award one. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
I think it goes without saying that we should thank the citizens for being as vocal as they have been about this too, because I know that you guys are busy and you got a lot of people vying for your attention. So shout out to Ward 1.
Absolutely, and you're correct, right?
Julie's particularly excited because that's her ward over.
Oh, fantastic.
For this, million, we put in 100,000. You maybe have 4 or 5 more million that you're willing to give for 100,000 each for road. We got some road issues.
Joe, for you, I just come out of the car. They give me this whole big box of money. I just walk around and hand it out. Yeah, no, but no. Back to your point, it is important to make sure that, as residents, they continue to bring this issue up, right? And the numbers that were given in 2017 and 2018 were different numbers than what we were talking about here in 2024 and 2025. And sometimes you just got to stop and say, okay, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to assess $45,000 on a $150,000 home of no fault of their own, right? If 51% of the residents raise their hand and want sewage coming down their streets, that's a whole other conversation. But for that person that lives there and just kept up on their septic system and followed the law and did everything right, I just, I'll speak for myself, but I think my other 2 commissioner partners agree that that's just not something in our county that we want to see happen, so.
Much appreciated, sir.
Council President, just very quickly, so thank you, new commissioner, right? Just took office in January.
A couple months, they tell me, yeah.
Certainly hit the ground running, and as Ms. Simon said, the residents really, from the very beginning of all of this, they have raised the flag not just for themselves, but way more often for their neighbors or somebody in the neighborhood that truly is more vulnerable than themselves. I'm looking at a few of them right now. These are people that really care about their neighborhood and care about their residents and their friends. So thank you, because not giving up on this is why Commissioner Beveridge is able to stand up here again tonight to talk about, this assistance from the county. I do want to point out also that Commissioner Plechnik here, not long after I took office, asked him to meet me here at City Hall, kind of had the hands up in the air and said, how do we help these folks in this neighborhood? These costs are exorbitant. All of the things that Commissioner Beveridge just said, the burden on these folks, and Commissioner Plechnik, in almost no time, turned around and was able to pull in that $1 million of ARPA money. Commissioner Regovich, certainly always had this on his mind. Last summer, he thought maybe, just unsolicited from me, thought that there was maybe an opportunity, something was going to come, some money was going to maybe free up, and was keeping me in the loop on that. So just a big shout out to you folks for really doing the work and keeping the residents of this the city and I imagine the rest of the county in mind. So thank you guys very much.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, just before we move on, public comments on matters not on the agenda. Would any residents have anything to speak about this evening? Step forward, please. Name and address.
President, Jeffrey Belsersky, 7685 Hidden Valley. So on the subject of sewers, actually, I was reading through the article in the March 7th Kirtland Chronicle, and I saw something that I hadn't seen in the Planning and Zoning Commission notes or the council notes, and it was about the new nursing facility proposed on the northwest corner of 6 and 306. And there was a mention in here that the estimated cost for putting in the sewer line is $7 million. And the quote from the developer was that if that was not paid for by means other than the developer, it would be a deal breaker. That was something new to me, because I think when I had heard this talked about in one sense or another over the last couple of years, I had the impression that it was going to be the developer covering those costs. And so I came up here for a little bit of clarification. So if I understand correctly, the method that's being proposed to paying for this is a TIF. TIF is, as I understand it, not a new tax levy, but like a deferred tax. Can somebody clarify that for me?
It's a property tax, but I'll have the mayor discuss. It's actually a property tax, just where you get, same property tax can be used in targeted areas, but I'll let the mayor speak to that a little more.
So yes, thank you, Mr. Balcerski. So back to the planning and zoning meeting, the developer did that night I was there. Maybe I misheard it, or potentially it was misprinted, but I think that the notion was that without sewers in general, that development couldn't happen. I don't, at least it's my understanding that at no time did the developer say that they, wouldn't contribute anything to it, and there's ongoing discussions related to the financing in general. As to TIFs, yes, I think, deferring future property taxes from their traditional avenues that they go to is a good way to characterize a TIF. So if today a property's receiving, property tax $5,000, but with an $18 million project, I'm kind of making up numbers here. Say that number goes to $200,000. That new 185 or new 195, a portion of that, depending on what kind of TIF was passed at what level, school TIFs, non-school TIFs, a couple different types, then a portion of those dollars based on percentages decided would be deferred over a period of time to, yes, repay a bond for sewers. So that is one big piece, one big component of how we're looking at potentially paying for these.
So am I correct in saying that another way of looking at that is that the local tax dollars would be redirected from other things to that project?
Sure, yes and no, because what I would say is in the case of, whether it's a nursing home project or other things that you can imagine on those corners with sewers, without sewers, those property values stay stagnant and those property taxes remain, at the level that they are. So in effect, you're correct, but without sewers, those numbers never go up as it is. And so say you were to do a 75% TIF on a certain piece of property for 10 years, well, there would still be a new 25% of property tax that would go to where it traditionally goes to.
Okay, so here's my concern about that, in that it also said that the same developers have an option on the southeast corner property. So in effect, what I am starting to be concerned about is that the tax redirection goes to private profits for the people that own that or develop that property. And maybe I can clarify one more thing. I saw that the article says that they estimate that there would be about $8 million in payroll. That's just what I'm taking from the article. So that's, let's say best case scenario, that's $160,000 a year in payroll taxes coming into the city, right? Is there another source of revenue from that project? Because $160,000 a year probably barely covers the all-in salary and benefits of a city employee. But they also said that they would estimate something like $16 million a year in revenue. Does the city see any of that?
Beyond the increased property tax, beyond the income tax, I think the answer to that is no. But again, I think the way you've always got to look at something like this, an $18 million development that could be the catalyst for getting sewers to an area like that, otherwise stranded area. We know that no investment has happened in that area in a really long time. And the answer is always, there just aren't sewers up there. The southeast corner, I'm not sure how that was stated in there. I don't know anything about that developer on the southeast corner. That's news to me.
I think that they said that they had an option on that property as well. Just like they have an option to purchase the northwest corner, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the southeast corner is not even close to large enough to facilitate that type of development.
Okay, so I don't want to take too much time. I think my concern is that with $16 million of revenue per year, that we don't really see an income from, that we're being asked in a way to subsidize that infrastructure. And I understand about future developments, but I looked up the LLC. I'm not even sure who the developer is, but they're registered even in the state of Ohio, but in the state of Delaware. That's all fairly opaque. So I just want council to know that I'm a little, this article in particular about the developer not paying the cost of something that generates for the developer pretty substantial revenue, it seems like they would be able to afford that contribution to the community.
Mayor, are they coming back in front of planning and zoning? I know we gave them the conditional permit to, start progressing, but do they have another scheduled meeting in front of PZNA?
Not scheduled. I think a preliminary development plan probably wouldn't be brought before planning and zoning for at least a little bit. And frankly, probably until we really have a handle on how we can finance the sewer project. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think what they got their preliminary development plan and conditional use permit at the whatever the last PNC meeting they were at. So I think it's all now just timing on the sewer and what they're going to schedule their next submittals, when we're a little closer to that point.
And I would reiterate, and thank you for coming up, because these are, these are big questions and the right questions, frankly. If I was a resident myself, I'd be asking them too, and I'm asking them, as we all are on the administration and some of our council members here. But, nothing's set in stone in terms of that financing, where it's going to come from, who's going to contribute what, ongoing discussions that myself, the finance director, city engineer, law director, we're all having those discussions. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the comments. Appreciate you coming up tonight. Okay, were there any other public comments this evening? Okay.
Mayor, when do you anticipate council seeing some numbers regarding if?
It's hard to say if it's a month, if it's 2 months. I mean, just kind of an active discussion. We're having meetings, every couple weeks, it seems like. I'm trying to nail down exactly what source of revenue are out there and from which properties, potentially.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else, we will move on to old business. Being that there's no old business, we will move on to new business. Opportunity for public comments on agenda items of new business. Okay. Moving on to ordinance number 25-0-16, an ordinance extending the agreement for economic development consulting services between Edward J. Eckert and E Squared Strategies LLC and the city of Kirtland and declaring an emergency. Any discussion? Okay. Moving on to resolution number 25-R-17, Arbor Day proclamation. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We're looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to waive the 3 readings. I apologize. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
So moved.
Mr. Ziegler? Mr. Smolik? Any discussion? Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes? Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
So we can move. Okay, moving on to resolution number 25-R-18. A resolution recognizing and appreciating the City of Kirtland's public works professionals and declaring National Public Works Week to be May 18th through the 24th, 2025. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to waive the 3 readings.
Second.
Mr. Smolik with the motion to waive the 3 readings. Ms. Simons with the second. Any discussion? Okay. Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Okay, moving on to resolution number 25-R-19, a resolution acknowledging Child Abuse Prevention Month for the month of April 2025. Looking for a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Fenstermaker, that was just a motion. The last motion was just a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Yeah, we need to pass.
We need to pass it as an emergency.
Oh, 25-R-18? Okay, thank you,
Just a
Matt.
motion to pass, we don't need a motion to emergency. Correct?
Yeah,
Is there the word emergency?
It's,
you're correct.
it
Okay,
doesn't say emergency.
so we don't have to post it. We're good. We're good, or you asking me to?
No reason.
You just confused me.
No, I'm not confused. Yes, my point being is, be no reason to waive the 3 readings if we pass it. It would be read by title only, right?
Right, normally.
Otherwise, now, yeah, we kind
Okay.
of, a slight little blunder, I think, on.
So we should do a motion to adopt.
Let's do a motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Smolik with a motion to adopt, and Mrs. Simons with a second.
Simons.
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes. Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
And I believe we need to do that on
Arbor Day also,
Arbor Day
we didn't do that on
proclamation
Arbor
as
Day.
well.
Okay, on resolution 25-R17.
We made the motion, waive the 3 readings, now we need a motion to adopt.
Need a
Motion
mo-
to adopt.
Mr. Smolik with a motion to adopt.
Second.
Mr. Schultz with the second. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes.
Yes.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to resolution number 25-R-19. A resolution acknowledging Child Abuse Prevention Month for the month of April 2025.
Motion to waive the 3 readings?
Looking for a second? This is Mr. Smolik with the motion to waive the 3 readings, Mr. Schultz with the second. Any discussion?
Quick question, Council President Fenstermaker, actually for the commissioners. Is the genesis of this out of the commissioner's office, I believe? Would you mind? It just were a little fortuitous that you were here tonight to
Yeah,
ask you the
thank you,
question.
Mayor. I was thinking the same thing. I believe the commissioners, we passed this last week. Yeah, the Lake County Department of Job and Family Services and our great employees have the unfortunate job of responding to not only child abuse but elder abuse throughout Lake County. And this month, and I have my blue band on, is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and the commissioners recognized along with Suzanne Kazar, our director, last week. Commissioners, I don't remember, there's a little ribbon, there's an event, I think next week in Painesville, where you'll see pinwheels marking the number of child abuse calls that we take in Lake County, and it's unfortunately more pinwheels than we would care to see out there. So heck of a kudos to our social work staff, who we have a 24/7, 365 day a year hotline. Memory 350-4400. That sound right? So I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't. So Mayor, thank you very much. Yes, this was probably a request from Suzanne and our Job and Family Services team in recognition of this unfortunately very important month here in Lake County. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boyd, and thank you to Ms. DeWolf for fast tracking this through.
And tomorrow is Wear Blue the Work Day. So if anybody's got some blue laying around.
One modification, the number is 440-350 4,000.
Thank you.
4,000.
Okay, any further discussion?
We waive?
We waived the 3 readings. We're looking for,
A motion to approve?
I
Motion
need to
adopt.
read the
no,
vote.
we need to follow the roll.
Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes.
Yes.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes. Motion to adopt?
Second.
Mr. Smolik with a motion to adopt, Mr. Schultz with the second. Any discussion? Okay. Mrs. Muscatello, call the roll.
Ms. Simons.
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler.
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker.
Yes.
Mr. Hamer.
Yes.
Mr. Scholes.
Yes.
Mr. Smolik.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to resolution 25-R-20. A resolution authorizing the mayor to purchase one new 2024 Chevy Silverado four-wheel drive police vehicle for the police department and declaring an emergency.
Shouldn't have waived the 3 readings?
Second.
Mr. Schultz with the motion to waive the 3 readings. Mr. Ziegler with the second. Any discussion? Ms. Muscatello, call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes.
Motion to declare an emergency and adopt.
Mr. Schultz with a motion to
Second.
declare an emergency, and Mr. Smolik with the second. Discussion?
Louis, that's a cash purchase with no financing, correct? Correct. Thank you.
Yes, that is correct.
Any further discussions? Okay, Ms. Muscatella, please call the roll.
Ms. Simons?
Yes.
Mr. Ziegler?
Yes.
Mr. Fenstermaker?
Yes.
Mr. Hamer?
Yes.
Mr. Scholes?
Yes.
Mr. Smolik?
Yes. Have fun with the new vehicle, Jamie. When you talk 3 months? Oh, okay, okay. Are you doing all your script work on it too, or is that going Fulton Sign still do that for you? Yeah, okay.
Okay, moving on to council comments. I just once again want to thank the commissioners for showing up tonight. Greatly appreciate the support and looking out for our residents. Any other additional comments?
Thank you to all the residents that showed up also. Thank you.
Okay, continuing concerns? Yes.
One comment. I don't know if this should go to the mayor or to Julie. Was there anybody recording the March 18th council meeting? Was that recorded? Because it's not found on YouTube.
Ms. DeWolf, I think we had a bit of a technical snafu that evening.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes, we had visual, but we had zero audio on it. So we did get it handled and everything's been corrected, but that is why it's not posted online.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I did not mean to look at Ms. DeWolf as though it was something she did. It was just a
It's like when you want to use a printer and it's not working for you. The other thing I would ask, if council could consider also starting to videotape our work sessions, with the amount of discussion that it goes on in the work session, not always translated relative to the discussion in council meeting.
Okay, noted. Thank you. Going on to continuing concerns. Last opportunity for the public, if anybody has anything to say. They all want to go home. All right, so looking for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're done for the evening. Thank you. Got it. Hit himself a little bit there.